Primal play. Great. No joke. Somebody was telling me about primal play for the first time, and I was like, what do you do? Just like growl at your partner? Like. But let me explain. 1 second, you're minding your own business on your main YouTube channel. You look to the side, you're having some fun with your kinks. And then when you look back, there's just a brand new pile of kinks that was dropped on you by the internet, and they expect you to know what you're talking about. And I'm just like, who has time to keep track of all these kinks? Me. Apparently I do, because y'all just keep asking about primal play. Where the fuck did all this kink come from? Get out of here. There's too much. There's too much. There's too much.
Too much of it, darling. Too much.
Roll the opening. Hello and welcome back to What's a Safeword. I'm Amp, and today we are diving into a new series that I'm going to be calling Untied. The intent being we're going to learn together and find out about new kinks that I've just kind of been able to dive into, digest it, disseminate on it maybe. I don't know.
Let's put it in a blender, on it, vomit on it, eat it, give birth to it.
But in such a way that makes us think and doesn't kink shame, but hopefully educates. And before you get into it, I hear what you're saying, Kyle. I get it. You have an opinion. You need to know what even is a new kink and how does this thing just exist out of nowhere? Well, Kyle, I'm glad that you think that I have this all figured out. I really don't. And we're just gonna unravel it together and see what we can do, okay? Give me a second. I need to read and do some research. God, like we didn't always have hot dog fingers as a kink, and then Everything Everywhere All at Once came out and you just expect me to know what hot dog fingers are as a kink?
Trauma.
Come on, Kyle. So what is primal play? I hear you asking. I think that's where we gotta start with this topic, because digesting this topic requires us understanding what it is. And I need to do that in the most monetizable way. So let's break it down in the most wholesome, personally, not too sexual stimulating way that I can talk about without YouTube saying this video can't be shared to our followers. First of all, primal play is not just growling at your partner. But it could be. Now, upon reading into primal play, I had two initial reactions. At the heart of primal play, a lot of people think that this is just animal role play. They think it's puppy play, kitten play, dragon age. That's a type of game you can play, I guess, but no, it's not primal play. Is it? Is it? The Iron Bull's probably into primal play.
Yeah, that's true.
And the second thing we have to talk about is, oh my God, I've been into primal play for years and I didn't even realize it until I defined it. And third, how do we educate people on this that doesn't confuse them and subverts their expectations? I mean, first of all, I'll say that I have only 2 thoughts on it, and then I'll say 3. Like, that subverts everything and puts you guys on your toes. In Latin, the word primus essentially means first, and when it's being used to refer to primal play, we're talking about the very first way in which people react and their most basic forms or emotions in a situation. It's also referring to that primal part of your brain, that kind of fight or flight that you can have in really intense situations.
One day I'll fly away.
So our basic instincts flooding forward and getting to the forefront of our play, in or out of the bedroom in a kinky way. Finding food, self-protection, and even reproduction does fall under those primal instincts. And in that way, primal play really does a good job of kind of getting into the dark, deep, maybe a bit more edge play-y senses. In other words, it's a way in which we are connecting with that primal part of our feelings, our emotions, and maybe even our sexual energies, and turn it kinky. But sometimes we're a little too up here, we're a little too analytical, I gotta turn that off to help us get into the primal play headspace. So in that way, like puppy play, like that really dog headspace that I love getting into, is something that I really enjoy. And turns out, plot twist, jump scare, I'm into it. I'm into it, side camera. Did you know I was into it, side camera? What the heck? And I start with that basic intro to it because when we head to somewhere like, let's say, Urban Dictionary, where we see that primal play is a type of, according to them, BDSM in which a couple will fight, and whoever wins the fight is the top for the night. That's not how kink works. I especially like their little excerpt of the word in action. Yo, Kyle, want to do some primal play after the gym? God damn it, Kyle. I told you that's not how primal play works. Put simply, primal play is about honest sex. And in the Urban Dictionary excerpt, it does give you a very good kind of excerpt of like animalistic role play and a dom-sub dynamic, which is, at the heart, very primal. It's an umbrella kink term that is meant to be talking about the primal instincts that you have, but the fun and the silly and the dark and the sexy. It can kind of encompass all of those feelings because it's something that is very basic to who we are. It is a pumpkin spice latte emotions that you can have in some kinks. And when you lean into it and get into that primal headspace is when you get into that primal play. Well, and that's just a prime example of primal play. It relies on those prime instincts. And in that way, at its very core, the problem and issue that people have is the fact that they can't get out of their own head sometimes. For instance, pet play is a great way you can get into some primal play. You can have a hunter and a prey, or just two like dogs fighting at it. It's dark, it's sexy, but you could also do something silly and fun like putting on a Bowser shell, pretending to be Bowser and ravaging Mario and like trying to capture him and put him in your castle. Which castle's it in now? God damn it. Getting out of our own comfort zone is integral to this kind of play and getting into this kind of headspace. But when I was researching this, I also found that I was finding a lot of talk about this discomfort that some people felt when even getting into the headspace that they had to overcome, which I'm going to be calling effectively the KinkBucha Effect. Kombucha is very important. You need kombucha for this.
2 hours later.
Can I just take a break to grab kombucha from the corner store? Absolutely not. Just for the bit.
The bitch! The bitch!
Kombucha. Yeah, and you kind of have to understand the kombucha memes or kombucha girls, Brittany Broski, internet culture to understand the reference that I'm making when I say the term KinkBucha. Because it is that feeling when you find a new kink or something that you might be into, and at first you're like,
Daddy, no!
you know, you get your kombucha and you're like, but then you do a little bit of learning of figuring out what the kink's about, maybe the mechanics, the dynamics, the dom sub, whatever is part of it. And then you're like, Daddy, yes! That's not so bad and actually might be really, really good. Also, I don't know about you guys, but I'm more of a pineapple or a gingerade kombucha when I ever do. Like I really like these two flavors. They're my favorite. I don't know. Leave your favorite kombucha down in the chat below. I'm curious.
My favorite flavor of kombucha is dick.
And I find what helps with the KinkBucha Effect like breakthrough is reading erotic fiction, talking to someone who's really into the kink, or finding a person who completes that dom to your sub or sub to your dom that makes you go, oh my God, I want this thing with this person. There's a certain situation or a headspace that you just finally click that helps you to accept that part of yourself. It is a way in which we overcome our own insecurities or maybe awkwardness. And especially with primal play, it can feel awkward or silly or even weird. And I use weird as like we're all a little weird, like weird's good, like stay weird. I'm weird. I call myself that. And when it comes to being primal, sometimes maybe you do get to dress up and be silly. Like if getting into primal play incorporates you dressing up as Wolverine and giving your best Hugh jacked man, and I'm like, absolutely, daddy. I am submissive and like, ching ching, like, Samson, give me claws. These are silly claws, right? You're giving me something that's not Wolverine claws, I bet. I hate it. Maybe primal play is something you can do in the water with today's sponsor, Surfshark. Now, Surfshark is a great way not only to keep your data safe, but to make sure that you're able to watch things on the internet without any ads, any tracking, and maybe you want to get around geolocations, Kyle.
Using an award-winning VPN like Surfshark allows you to encrypt your data, access not only your favorite shows, say Friends or The Office, which are geo-restricted, but every season of RuPaul's Drag Race ever.
Every season. Meaning you don't have to have 10 different subscription services to watch your favorite shows.
If you're all worried about trying something new like Surfshark, they have a full money-back guarantee and 30 days for free.
So check out Surfshark in the link down below. Use offer code WATTS to get 83% off and 3 months for free with your 2-year deal. Thank you, Surfshark. Okay, the subtext of this next part is just called I love math. Because negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. because there's no exact math problem to the way in which we get into primal play, and we don't have an exact A plus B equals C primal play situation. Primal play looks like and can be a lot of different things, but it's also a way in which you are subtracting your own self-consciousness, where you're getting out of your shell and you're getting into that primal animalistic ideal up here that is very basic. And sometimes thinking too much up here makes the kinking a lot harder to do. KinkBucha. So what are the factors that go into primal play and make primal play, I hear you asking? Kyle, stop asking questions I didn't call on you. Well, step 1, buy some kombucha. Step 2, go on Amazon and order some things. Amazon Prime. There's no step. Just do whatever seems animalistic and core to your nature that makes you feel hot and sexy and want to get into this kink. That's it. And once you're able to do that, then communication is step 3, and that's all you got to worry about. God, I should not have bought kombucha for this. Communication is a huge thing when it comes to primal play. Being able to explain what you're into and why you are into it is sometimes the biggest roadblock for getting into a kink. And from there, it's being able to think and get out of your own analytical brain and get into the instinctual part of the things that turn you on and why you want to do those things in the bedroom. Many people have a problem acting out of instincts in the bedroom, and it will take you a few tries maybe to get into that. It's like that song, Jesus Take the Wheel, but instead of Jesus, it's like Tarzan.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Tarzan, take the wheel, swing into my hole. Nope. If you're overthinking it, the resulting sex is going to feel awkward, and that's not fun, but that's why you should try it more than once. Reject the shoulds in your play and lean into the let's try or the maybes, because doing that helps you to try new things that hopefully makes your sex more fulfilling. But that also requires that you are able to build trust. Trust is a huge thing in this play, especially if you're getting into it with someone else.
Trust in me.
If you can't trust yourself, how the hell are you going to trust anybody else? For some people, primal play, getting into those really deep, those dark, those visceral sorts of feelings is so relaxing and is so therapeutic. Never a replacement for therapy, I think we should be very clear about, but kink does something transformative and healing in that way when we are able to get into that space. When I'm able to really get into that puppy play headspace where I'm just, God, I'm not worried about work. I'm not worried about my calendar. I'm not worried about the texts and the tweets and the posts I need to make. I'm able to just focus on the thing that's making me happy right now. Maybe not even just sexually, because kink isn't always inherently sexual. That is the kind of primal play that really gets me going and is very healing. Reverting to that more primal, basic version of yourself is freeing in many ways, but it can also, and you have to be careful about this, bring up very edge play-y scenarios and situations where you're really getting deep and dark. It can take you to that place that gives you that ah moment, but can also be that ah moment where you're not able to really focus on and process all the feelings at once, especially when you're trying not to think, and then you start thinking about it again, and you can easily spiral if you're not communicating with your partner and you don't have a safe word. Safe words are important. If barking like the ABCs is your safe word because you're in an animal headspace, then that's what you got to do. Does not mean acting without consent though. You still got to have consent in all this. And if some CNC gets played in there, that's fine, but you need to be able to communicate that before you get into that natural primal headspace. Animals in this animal primal play can also be super protective. And we'll get into some situations here in just a second, but like this primal play can be protective in like I'm protecting a younger, like beta in my primal sense here. You know, I'm Optimus Prime protecting Bumblebee. So how do I get into the headspace? Well, Kyle, great question for once. Some people like using Hypno, actually. I like getting into a headspace using Hypno. Some people like using gear, quite literally. If you're a pup or into some sort of pet play and primal play is part of that, maybe getting a hood on, getting that snout in front of your face, or even getting some mitts are super helpful. Some people will say that a music or even listening to animalistic sounds can be especially helpful to get them in the space as well. I bet you that there is a YouTube playlist somewhere that's like jungle sounds that has monkeys going ook, 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 and like birds going chirp, chirp. But what does the fox say?
What does the fox say?
And as a caveat, gear is never necessary to get into kink. It definitely helps, but there's plenty of pervertibles and different ways you can bring things you already own into the bedroom that aren't going to break the bank and aren't going to break your butt, hopefully, or break the headspace at the very least. So let's talk about some simple scene ideas. I think that talking about what it is, how we do it, how we can negotiate and communicate about it, And then getting into what kind of scenes exist are going to be super helpful and a great starter for those that are just looking to unravel this topic. First scenes that are really good and very integral to Primal play is prey and hunter scenes. Much like there's a dom sub relationship to many kinks, not all, but many, there can be this hunter and prey dynamic, the hunter being the dom and the prey being the dominated or the sub. In this situation, you could do something like maybe the hunter has like a blindfold on, all the lights are off, maybe they have to find their prey somewhere in a room. That could be really fun and really stimulating. And it's almost like an adult hide and seek. Like, I mean, if I was like looking around and like trying to find someone, that's fun. Did you guys see that? Or maybe you want to flip the script. You can actually be taming a wild beast. Maybe the top is being in their primal headspace and the bottom actually has to tame the beast, or you tie him down, or you train him in some way. There's plenty of ways you can leash, collar, put someone 4-poster like spread eagle.
The spread eagle.
But if you're doing some good knots, and we have a whole playlist of good knots for that kind of play, it can be really, really deep and ooh, the energy can be great. I love that kind of play too. Very into it. Some roles you can take within this: predator, prey, hunter, alpha, beta, packmate. There's many ways you can make this dynamic customizable to you and your partner or partners. There could be many prey. There could be everyone's on an equal footing and they're all just packmates that are getting into an animalistic headspace and take care of each other. Or you just have one top who's hunting everyone. Who knows? It's whatever you want. You could be an actual monster. Maybe there's a fictional monster that you're really into, and maybe you're role playing and oh my God, a fictional hottest monster tier list. I know lots of y'all are into the monster f***ing out there. I've seen your dark secret sexy kinks. Oh my God, Jason, or you could do like the swamp thing. I'm sure there's tentacle monsters. Which monster is the hottest to you? Which one's the most primal? Ooh. A werewolf? Oh my God, a werewolf, duh. A monster fucker tier list. That would be hilarious, but I don't have time for that. Scent-based scenes are great as well. Your nose knows, and it can be really hot, especially if you're into BO or body smells. Pheromones are allegedly a thing. Biting, scratching, and marks that get very like literally marking your partner as long as they're into it. Absolutely part of primal play. It can really get a little scary, but in a hot way. I know people that go to things like a claw or an IML or an MAL kink weekend, and they will just come back with clawing and scratching and bites upon bites. And like, some of y'all, good kink, good for you, good communication, but please be careful. Like, get some ointment, okay? Or like some Neosporin at the very least. If you don't want permanent marks, please be careful. Again, sounds are a really good way to get into the headspace for primal play, but specific scenes that revolve around grunting and guttural sounds and barking and growling really gets you in a proper headspace. Or maybe you do some like circling dynamics, which is like a common induction into primal headspace, is like circling your prey as the hunter and just getting to know one another or one at a time, like sniffing someone's butt, you know, y'all into anal? Get into the rimming of it all, okay? Rough sex is a perfect way to practice primal play. Not required, but many people will incorporate and enjoy that. Maybe you are incorporating a bunch of different aspects that we've just talked about and different scenes, and you're trying to fight for dominance and see who can wrestle the other person down and get them tied down while getting rough and getting guttural and getting sense. All of these things are great ways, but just aspects and tools that you can mix into your bedroom play to make it a really fun primal play scene. Again, this is all customizable. We're just giving you some ideas to mix it up and get into that primal headspace. What you do with these steps, with these aspects, with these traits, are all about what makes it happen and makes it fun and sexy for you. And again, I want to be very, very clear that the roles in this are flexible. If you both want to be the primal people, great. If you both want to be in the same scene, but one's dominant and one's submissive, cool. The animal kingdom and how we emulate it is totally fun and totally fine and hot, but just make sure you customize it in a way that works for you. Because at the end of the day, primal play is a hugely imaginative and very, very fun but cathartic experience. When discussed beforehand for optimal comfort and satisfaction, it can result in the ultimate sexual experience with you or you and a partner. It can help us unwind from societal pressures and just let you and your partner get out of your own head and into some high-key, arousing, fun sexual play. Because being primal does not mean you're a monster, Kyle. This isn't a monster fucker tier list, okay? And even if I wanted... What the fuck? Oh. Okay, monster fucker tier list speedrun. Okay, Worgen character. Obviously the S tier. Started Primal Play, was the one that really made it like popular. Iron Man, very robotic in the bedroom, kind of hard to really pleasure, and also Tony Stark seems like an asshole. Nick Wilde, he's got wild in the name. S tier. Also furries love him. A swamp thing with tentacles. I like rope bondage, not tentacle bondage. We got Pyramid Head, daddy. Ghostface, as far as Primal Play goes, he really goes there, but he does get a little obnoxious if you take him to a movie, so I'm gonna put him in C. Beast, loves show tunes, loves to cuddle. A tier, absolutely. We got Michael Myers, loves knife play, also says knife to see you again every time he sees you, so I'm gonna put him in D tier. He's not a great talker. Pennywise and or any other clown fuckers out there, he tastes a little funny. Also he just keeps using jokes, and he pulls out a bunch of weird sex toys that you've never used before, and he doesn't ask if you want to use them, so like he's D tier. Yeah, D tier. Anyway, at the end of the day, when you're getting into Primal Play, whether you're the top or the bottom, the hunter or the prey, always have a safe word. And maybe it's not even safe word. So maybe your safe word is like caca.
Park that Big Mac truck right in its little garage.
It's like you're making an animal sound that wasn't the animals that you're pretending to be, because the true monsters are those that don't use safe words. And so long as you guys are consenting, you're having fun, and you're communicating about your expectations and your wants and your needs, Primal Play is a really fun, really cathartic, really intense sort of kink that I'm glad that we kind of got a chance to talk about, because I honestly didn't know what it was and didn't even realize that it was integral to the kind of play that I really enjoy until getting a chance to really unravel, untie, and look into it. So let us know what you want us to untie next. What is a kink that doesn't really have any sort of representation, maybe education, or it's a topic that's misunderstood or just misconstrued? And case in point is on Urban Dictionary and doesn't even really get it right. Because as much as I love wrestling, a great way to get into Primal Play is a whole lot, honestly, simpler and more simple-minded than even that. And I enjoyed looking into it and kind of getting to know it a bit better and adding it to my list of kinks. So thank you again for listening on in. Again, leave those comments down below of your favorite kombucha or maybe a topic to cover next time. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you're subscribed, and ring that bell, because a lot of people are being unsubscribed from our channel and I don't know how to fix that, but I'm hoping YouTube fixes it someday. And I will see y'all next time. Bye. And a big old shout out to the prime example of what makes our channel possible, you guys. Thank you guys for supporting on the Patreon a lot recently, showing support for our channel as we continue to get demonetized. We could not do without you. Thank you to all of our patrons that support us day in and day out on the channel. Truly, I appreciate it. If you want to check out the Patreon down below, you get weekly podcasts, early access things, and just extra content on the regular. So check it out if you want. No pressure. We'll see you next time.
Do you roll these games?